Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to Freezy's Pressroom. And this is going to be for week 4 of Saga 2. And so, just real quick, just going to go through the news. And this week, um, actually, Space Ape is going to be on their live stream tomorrow. So, what I'm probably going to do, because there is a lot of stuff in the newsletter that I do want to talk about. Particularly, I'm going to do gameplay of the G1 cores that just got that will be released tomorrow. I'm going to give them a chance to talk about it first, just because they aren't released yet. So once they get released, that's when I'll actually do some gameplay for those tomorrow. That'll be this week's video. It's main video of the week. But right now I can talk about them a little bit. But first, let's talk about this week's event. And this week's event is going to be called The Unexpected. And pretty decent prizes in this one, honestly. So it says take part in this weekend's event to win up to 5,000 prime core shards. So that'll be good. I could always use a couple of G metals over there out of those prime core shards. 60 new shard crystals. 20 million in alloy, 20 million in energon, and 300,000 in spark. So pretty good prizes for the event. Standard chart. And then it's got the totalizer prize chart. So gonna be a total of 20 prestiges, 40,000 per. So it'll be 800k event. So, and I know there was some discussion, particularly in the Alliance Councils this week, where the Alliance Council members felt like they weren't being heard and having events that are too large, especially after having the 1 mil event last week for the 5-star shards. And so one of the things that you'll see in the newsletter we'll talk about is trying to make sure we give some good player feedback. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the totalizer price chart, not too bad. And so those 10 tiers each. And then you've got your new shard crystal has one of the following. So you got 25% chance at 1,000 premium shards. 25% chance at 3-star shards, 200 of those, or 100 4-star shards, or 25 5-star shards, which I was actually surprised about, because 5-star shards are starting to show up in the events more often. And one of the things I was talking about last time I had an episode of the Press Room is that, there was a lot of conflict about making sure that we had 1,000 5-star shards in the last event. Listen, man, like, we're getting lots and lots of opportunities, 5-star shards recently. Now, I'm not saying to cut those opportunities, but it's not a lot to complain about right now. I've been saying for at least a month now that there were going to be more opportunities for 5-star shards. I just got my 5-star sound wave the other day, and already I'm pretty close to halfway back to having enough 5-star shards already after doing the event. I still hadn't cashed out my cyber pass yet, so I'm gonna be well over halfway by the time I get my cyber pass, and by the time I complete this event, hopefully get those 25% chance at those shards. All right, other than that, let's take a look at the game updates. And so one of the things I was going to talk about this week, G1 cores coming to the game. And so they got the G1 Skylinks and Blitzwing. Listen, man, this is a pretty good power core. I know I got a couple of buddies out there that are real huge fans of Blitzwing. I definitely like this power core. And you can see some of the graphics in there, courtesy of Text to Titan. Listen, it's a pretty good core addressing some of his health issues. And it says all of your attacks heal you for a percentage of the damage done and generate a shield before taking off with Plasma Shroud, which absorbs 80% of damage for 4 seconds. I tested this thing. I mean, it's a pretty impressive core. This entire batch is really impressive, with the exception of the G1 Blastoff core. Blastoff being my very first 5-star. I'm probably going to stick to enhanced ordnance on mine. But what I will do is do some gameplay on my video tomorrow so you guys can see it for yourself. And I always believe in everybody making their own decisions. But that G1 Blitzwing is pretty good. And then they also gonna have one for G1 Rodimus Prime, and for us on the con side, Motor Master. So this particular core restores a percentage of health every 5 seconds. When your health drops below 40%, you overcharge the spark, so your allies, making them deal a percentage of their damage over 5 seconds. So it's basically giving you a free use of his special ability when he's getting close to death. So definitely makes him, he's already a really good buy. It's going to make him even more usable with that G1. So I'll show you that on my next video as well. And then they have a G1 Perceptor. So they actually did some updates to Rodimus Prime's Matrix, and they talk about that later on, but they kind of stuck that in the wrong spot, so it threw me off for a second. I'm gonna move on and talk about the G1 Bombshell. G1 Bombshell, cool. It basically enhances his ability, and it both active and passive ability. So there's gonna be a damage increase for your defense hack, and then the passive hack that you use on your outpost bots, that gets increased by a few seconds. That passive ability hack, it is very, very impressive. It started off with another one of those health increase type cores, and you know, Space Ape, we discussed it for a little bit. Decided that, hey, we like to get some damage because there's a huge damage reduction there, and you know, it's kind of a combination of like an attack core along with like a Liege Maximo core. So I like it. I'll show it tomorrow on the video. And then the one that I didn't like as much was the Firefly G1 Blastoff core, and this one increases special ability damage by a percentage, and then it generates a shield before taking off for airstrike, which absorbs 80% of the damage done. And so the thing is, one of my favorite G1 power cores is the one that they made for Scourge. And I thought when I saw this one I was going to get something like that, and it's not like that for me. I think that it probably could be a little bit more powerful, but it's not. So I'll show it to you tomorrow, let you come to your own conclusions. But I think that that's the one I like the least out of them, but it's still a pretty good core. It's just I want it more because it's a bot that I invested in a lot, so I'd like to see it. But you know, it's neither here nor there. It's still a pretty good core. All right, in the content creator corner, we got new videos out, and you know, Sunstreaker Wazoo is talking about these combiners, which combiners are still relevant in Prime League. So if you hadn't seen that, check it out. And like I had mentioned earlier, there's a survey going on right now. So Space Ape wants to get people's opinions about just different things that are going on in the game, different things that are being complained about in the game, and just try to get more feedback from all of his followers. So that's going to be one thing to look out for. They got a link for it in the newsletter, and I'll post a link in. I'll post it. Stand by for a second. I got a little bit of an interference going on right here. Alright, sorry about that. And so if you go in there and you do the survey, I'll put a link to the survey in my video as well. if you don't actually subscribe to the newsletter. And if you take the survey, you can get a chance at winning 500 5-star shards on courtesy of Space 8. So worth it to give your 2 cents. I will say they talked to me. Dale talked to me this morning, trying to just get active feedback from us. And they actually asked the Alliance Council to, hey, take a look at this survey, see if these are questions. I know the last couple of times they did surveys, a lot of people said, well, those weren't good questions. I felt like they were a little bit better questions this go around. So, take a look at that. Give yourself a chance to get your voice heard. All right, Community Corner. Got some nice artwork. Air Commander Starscream, Blackout. Yeah, I got some pretty good ones in there this go around. Couple of toy collections. And then the typical Saga schedule. Right now we're on week 4 of 6. So this week at the 800K event, followed by individual totalizer. If you're on the Transformers Earth Wars Discord, the information for the individual totalizer next week is already out. And then it's on to the big leaderboard. This one should be for the new healer bots that come to the game. Minerva and Flatline just got started testing those bots yesterday. So got some bugs to work out, and that's par for the course, pretty normal when they transfer things to the test account server. And I hadn't had a chance to test any of them today, but looks like it's going to be a pretty decent bot. We'll see how it goes when the leaderboard actually comes out. But yeah, I'd try for it. For most players, if they play at that level, I'd go ahead and try for it. Alright, so some bug fixes and improvements. So we have Rodimus Prime and Motormaster rework the Matrix and Sword. And so that's what I was talking about earlier when I scroll back up. They kind of randomly stuck in the Rodimus Prime Matrix, but Motormaster Sword. So now what it does is it reduces damage from shock towers, beam lasers, and autocannon. I like that because I felt like Motormaster is a little bit on the squishy side, and then when your health drops below 20%, then you become invulnerable, and you're invulnerable to damage and stun effects, and restores a percentage of health every second for 5 seconds. So depending on how the core is built, that's going to determine the health increase. But yeah, they're starting to go more to when your health gets low, trying to keep these guys on the battlefield a little bit longer. So I like it. I can add that to the testing for the cores tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to be, feel like that's going to be a pretty good one for Motormaster, just because I feel like Motormaster, for me, especially when I go on raids, he's had a tendency to kind of rush ahead a little bit. At times, for the most part, he stays in the middle of the pack, but sometimes he'll run ahead. But then, that invulnerability, kind of similar to like a Lugnut's mace or something like that, is always a good thing. And then for Blitzwing, they shortened the transformation animation before the use of his Plasma Shroud, and making it more comparable to Sky Lynx. I know that's one of the things players have been complaining about for quite some time. Like I mentioned earlier, Transformers Earth Wars is going to be on live this week, so that'll be tomorrow. They'll be on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, same time, so 1500 their time. So for me that'll be about 1 o'clock Eastern. They'll be on, and I think they're going to probably talk about these new cores, but I don't know how long they're going to run them. So I'm going to do some play testing with mine on my own, particularly because they always show stuff from the Autobot faction, and I like to actually just see our stuff on Decepticons as well. So I'll give you guys that opportunity as well. But other than that, that's all we got for the news this week. Check me out tomorrow, and I think that I'm going to run my video earlier. I hadn't decided what time yet. I usually run everything at 6 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to try to run my video shortly after Space 8 gets done with theirs and get it on. But I don't have a definitive time yet. But you know how I do. I start making my the morning of. I typically start making my YouTube short, and that's just what I use for my promotional purposes, so everybody knows when I'm going to be on, what to expect, so on and so forth. So I think that I'll probably do that some maybe around 3 Eastern, but I hadn't decided definitively yet. But when you wake up in the morning, you see my YouTube short, then you'll know what time it's going to be. I'll figure that out then. But otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow for my actual video on the G1 course, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield. Have a good one, and Freezy is out.